Okay guys, so this update is going to be a little bit different, but for very good reason. So I'm only 6 days post-surgery, so we're doing a makeup-free, raw, honest, vulnerable. There are definitely lessons in here, but it's also more of a life update format for those that wanted to know what the surgery was about, what my medical issues were, and what recovery looks like. So let's dive into that. I will probably be even wafflier than normal. Forgive, my brain is probably not firing exactly the way that it should, but that's okay. If you watch the first ever episode of this podcast, that was incredibly raw and incredibly real. I'm going to try not to cry on this one. But that kind of set a precedent for me of being open and honest and wanting everybody to just, I was going to say know the truth, but it's not that I ever hid the truth. It's just that actually experience things with me, because what I did with the first episode is I basically walked you through all of the things that happened to me, all of the trauma, all of the really, really challenging stuff that had happened to me over the previous few years. Now, this one is not that. It's because I've done that already. And it's gonna go where it goes. There are gonna be some down moments in this, but there are also gonna be some really positive things to come out of it. And what I want for you guys is that everything has got lessons in it, right? I might be a coach. People pay me to look at their lives, to advise them, to bring wisdom and healing and all of those modalities to them. But it doesn't mean that I'm not a human being, I'm not infallible. There's not way more layers of healing, way more layers of knowledge, of enlightenment to go. And I've actually found this, I'm finding deep gratitude for this journey and this healing and this surgery and these medical interventions, because I've learned a lot. And I suppose I just want to come on and tell you what I've been up to. I know that I got so many people, so many messages from my podcast previously, concerned about me, sharing love, telling me that I was giving them permission to be vulnerable by showing up here and doing this. So that is my hope for you guys, that if you needed a sign to open up to people, that this is it. And if you care about me, if you've been following my journey, if you're just interested, then I'm going to tell you all about the medical stuff in a not TMI version. So I have found this process super vulnerable because I guess people see me as strong. I guess I see myself as strong. I guess I wear that with pride. I very much talk about and espouse the virtues of like polarity and, you know, feminine, being in your feminine, being in your masculine, etc. And I'm very much in my soft girl era. I'm a mum now. Obviously, you can see the babies here. I'm a mum to both Wilbur and Ocean and all the things. So it's not like I go through the world portraying this veneer of strength. I encourage people to be vulnerable, and I have been. But I still think, because of my entrepreneurial nature, because of just my natural personality, I guess, I still sit in that category in a lot of people's minds. So there's been times before where I have felt this vulnerability that's kind of automatic. So when I started a business, funnily enough, I started my first company over 10 years ago now, and it was off the back of being a lawyer. So when you're a lawyer, you're not very vulnerable. Well, that's a sweeping statement, and of course not true. As a person you are, but from a career perspective, you're not. But then when I started a business, I was blown away by the amount of people who automatically knew that I needed help, because I'd never started a business before. This time around, it's been different because obviously I'm quite adept at business. And I'm maybe less vulnerable than I was in my 20s when I started a company. But that was one juncture where I was like, oh, okay, people automatically know this. That's interesting. And sort of rally to help, if you will. The second and most obvious reason was when I was pregnant. And that was profound for me. Like, I talk about this a lot. People do not support you enough in business. Like, if you have got a business, I would put money on the fact that you're disappointed that your friends and family do not do more to support your business. And if that is you, I'm sorry that that's your experience, but it's very, very common. It's something that clients talk to me about a lot. It's something that I've experienced myself, and I still do. Like, when I put posts out on social media, the people who are more likely to engage in them are people I don't know on the internet than my actual friends, and that it's hurtful. But that's actually not why I came on here to talk about. But the vulnerability that you have in pregnancy and in sickness is a universally understood vulnerability. And I think that's what I was getting at with the business. The reason people don't support you in business is because they don't understand. Okay, again, sweeping statement. So you may have haters out there. You may have people who are looking at your stuff and not wanting you to succeed in the way that they should, and I'm sorry about that. But most people will be doing that, not supporting your business, because they just don't understand how much it means to you, how much you need those shares, those likes, those social engagement, the encouragement, people to ask you how you are. But when you're pregnant or when you're sick, people have had that in their own experience, therefore they'll generally step up, and people were amazing to me when I was pregnant. I couldn't believe it. I was like anyway, probably a story for another day. But the same when you're sick, people have a universal understanding of it. But I found this time to be very much lonelier than others, and I guess it's because of where I am at in my healing journey. I guess it's because my surgery it wasn't emergency surgery, but it was booked in within a week, and that's on the NHS. So that's not like, that's not a typical thing, right? So yeah, I found this quite lonely. I've been feeling quite vulnerable. I've felt definitely like my call to the freedom lifestyle and like tribal living, which I'll talk about a little bit later, is just getting stronger. It's just this experience has really validated some of the more out there thoughts I have about freedom lifestyle, which I'll talk about later. I should not be spinning on this chair. I shouldn't be moving stitches. I'll try and stay still. I'm not very good at that. So talk about the medical stuff for a second. So I've been on a journey, and it's been a journey that's lasted quite a long time. I alluded to it in my first podcast where I talked about like my physical health. And thanks be to God, this is not actually serious physical stuff, right? But I didn't know that until 6 days ago when I came around from the general anaesthetic and they told me what it was. So, but I've always known, like, in my heart, in my gut, that I wasn't poorly enough for it to be super, super serious. But I have had to go through quite a lot of worry and challenge about this. So a little while ago, I started to feel like really quite fatigued. And I'm a very high energy person, and I'm like a poster child for ADHD, moving around, not sitting still. So fatigue is not the one for me. It's not the one for anybody, but definitely was not helping me. But because I've been through so much, there was a lot of, could that be a throwback from the PTSD? Could it be this? You're under a lot of stress, you're a single mom, etc., etc. So all of that was valid, but I was just like, no, like, I'm going to keep digging at this because there's something behind it. Anyway, so keep digging. So it turns out I'm anemic, so that was not going to be helpful for fatigue. But then I was like, well, why am I anemic? And, very much standard procedure to be like, you're anemic, here's some iron tablets, off you go. And then I was like digging into it. So I made sure I got more tests, which revealed that I needed to have a colonoscopy, which I had in April, which made my 40th birthday suck quite a bit, because it was I was abroad for my 40th. So when I was back home the following week, I had that hanging over my head. They did find a lump and they did remove it, but it was benign. So that was really, and it was, to be honest, really fortunate, because it's a sort of lump that if they hadn't have found it, may not have stayed benign. So I am fine. There is nothing wrong with me, but I didn't know that. But they didn't know that at the time. They've removed it, and I'll now be monitored because of that. So that is actually a blessing. But at the same time, I had a larger lump that was outside of my organs, because I could feel it in my groin. And that's basically what I've had the surgery to rectify. So again, I've been on a journey with that because of the colonoscopy, because of the test results. I was on a fast track with the NHS, which I'm very grateful for. But even that fast track is taken sort of, like February till we're now in July, that sort of length of time to figure out. And there has been times where this has been misdiagnosed. So they thought it could be different things. At one point, I was told it was a cyst, which is obviously something not very serious at all, but it still needed to be removed. Then the week before, the surgeon was like, I don't think this is a cyst, it's a lump. We don't know what it is. We're going to have it sent to be biopsied. And yeah, it's a large lump to be biopsied. That's obviously very scary. Again, like my gut told me that this was not, told me that this was not like going to be a hugely serious medical thing, because I wasn't that poorly. But still, nobody wants to be told those words, that you're gonna have to wait for histology like 10 to 14 days to figure this out. Anyway, I went in to have my operation last week on that basis. They had to do it under general anaesthetic. I'm not gonna lie, like, that's really scary. Like, again, it was minor surgery, but to be put to sleep and to lose control in that way is just, yeah, it's just really, really scary. And when you become a parent, if you already are one or thinking about becoming one, it's the best thing ever, but it changes your relationship to your own health. Like you become this vessel that needs to survive, that needs to prioritize your own health, because if you're not able to do that, then you're not able to be there for your children. And that's scary. That's scary, scary stuff. So being put to sleep hit differently this time. I still have the frame of reference though, which is rather helpful. I've faced my worst ever fear. My worst ever fear was losing Ocean, and I faced that with her surgery. So this was comparatively a walk in the park to that, but still, me being her mum still felt, yeah. So anyway, I had the surgery. When I woke up, it actually was not a lump that they needed to dissect, that they needed to remove and send off for surgery. I actually had a rare type of a hernia. So it's called a femoral hernia, so it's in my groin. So I've had that basically put back into place. And in all likelihood, that was caused by pregnancy, because I carried such a big baby. Ocean was very large when she was born, and I carried really big. So yeah, basically your abs can't take that, and it basically causes a gap where your core should be attached. So that's been reattached, and all of my internal organs and everything is where they should be. So that is wonderful, wonderful news. I'm not waiting for any lab results. I will heal from this, and I will be the best version, healthiest version of myself. The bad news is that the recovery from hernia surgery is quite a lot longer than I'd anticipated. And obviously I didn't have any warning, right? So I wasn't told in the run up to it, this is going to take X amount of days. I was just told that, yeah, you'll be in and out and you'll need to recover from minor surgery. So when you're a single parent, that's kind of hard work, because there's nobody else there. There's no one else to pick up those pieces. And well, let's make a distinction. It's not a single parent as in when you're a solo parent, when you're doing this on your own, there is no other parent in the picture that's taking any caring responsibilities whatsoever. So yeah, that's a bit of a problem, guys. And it's been, yeah, it's led to this conversation and this realization about vulnerability and how I relate to others and the support that we've got. And it's been hard. It's been really challenging, because people, you know, that everybody's got their own lives, right? Their own families, their own immediate circle. And because, like I said, my surgery was booked in such a quick fashion, you know, everybody's busy. People have got their own things to do, and I completely understand that. But it's been really lonely. Like, it's been really lonely. It's been quite sad. It's been, you know, on the movies, somebody is sick or they have an operation, and, you know, there are people at the hospital beds with flowers. In the UK, you're not actually allowed to come to people's hospital beds anymore unless they're in, like, as in recovery from surgery. But yeah, I don't know if I'm a little bit naive in terms of the Hollywood dream that you are sold of that. But yeah, so that's been a little bit challenging, and I guess it led me to a lot of introspection around healing. And I don't mean physical healing from surgery, stitches, etc. I mean the emotional healing journey that I've been on. So my circle is pretty small, and in a lot of ways deliberately so. The more that you, and this is not talked about enough, the more that you heal, the more work that you do on yourself, the more that you are discerning with your time and who you let in your life, and the less you're willing to tolerate of other people's behaviours that don't meet your standards, that don't enhance your life. And the amount of people that will meet that threshold will be surprisingly small. I saw a meme about this week, where somebody was basically saying that they're single, like I am, and they were basically saying, like, I'm going to be single forever at this rate, because the people out there, like, it was well and good dating when, you know, toxic relationships were on the table, and when you didn't have the self-love and all of that behind you. But once you do, and once you know what you're looking for, the pool is small. And that's a tangent, because I'm not talking about dating. I'm just talking about general life. But yeah, I have been given an opportunity to reflect on a lot of things. And that was also something that came to me. I was just like, I cannot believe that this is like the first time I've chilled in, I don't know, like, so long. And you know that I advocate, I'm not talking about that I'll burn myself into the ground working really, 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 really hard on really, really long hours. Sometimes I do, but most of the time I keep a balance. But my rest is very constructive. It's running, it's exercise, it's swimming, it's travel, it's yoga, it's meditation. I'm doing something. I'm never just like chilling. Like, I've watched more television in this last 3 days than I've watched the entire rest of the year, because I just don't watch TV, because I just don't give myself that permission to just do nothing productive. And it's not that I don't think rest is productive, I do, but I always find a constructive way of resting, like yoga or meditation or something, walking. So this has been brand new, and, you know, there's been times that I've enjoyed it. The pain has been minimal, I've got to say. They managed my pain really, really well. I came off the painkillers very early on because they had morphine in them and they were making me feel sick. So although I've had to physically rest, and I'm not good at that, I'm not good at it because, for the reasons I talked about before, like the ADHD stuff, the always on the go, it's forced me to look at things differently. And I've learned a lesson from that. You know, I've loved watching Desperate Housewives. Guilty little pleasure. And it's given me, it's just given me a lot of time to think about a lot of things. And I don't want to make this super, super long, because I absolutely could talk about this for a very, very long time. So yeah, I think it's given me a different perspective on rest and on doing nothing, because, and I don't blame myself for this. You know, I am a single parent. It's tough, you know, like, I'm a single parent. I'm a sole provider financially for our family. So, you know, when I get moments and I'm like, oh, I could just do this for the business. You know, I've been doing some really exciting things recently. You'll have seen last week I put out my Freedom Lifestyle mini course, which is literally teaching you guys how to be able to live my lifestyle for free or nearly no money. That's a message that I want out in the world. I want you guys to be able to travel and go away and spend months abroad like I do and it not cost you anything, or very, very little, if that's what you guys want. So I put that, but that's passive, right? So that's income that can be made at any point. I did, before I went into surgery, say I've not taken on obviously any more one-to-one clients. I actually took on 3 this month already, so that's a great month for my coaching business. But I did say that anybody that wanted to work with me through the courses could message the word freedom on Instagram, and you can still do that now. You could do that if you're watching to this day. You could still message the word freedom and get access to that course. It's only £22 at the moment, and it's only 22 minutes long, so it's a bite-sized piece of information to just get you started on the traveling and the freedom lifestyle, particularly at the moment, because I know it's obviously school holidays and people are looking for ways to do that. So that's all there for you. I hope that helps. But I was talking, sorry, I've lost my train of thought. I was talking about how busy I am. That was it. So I don't blame myself entirely, because I'm a single parent. So even if I get downtime, I'm usually doing some life admin or like booking some trip or doing something. But yeah, so this has been interesting from that perspective. Also, I've got that thing where you'll all have experienced it before, but I am in joy right now. Like, I am so happy and so little. Even though, like, things are not perfect, I'm only 6 weeks post-healing. I've still got, obviously, the bandages on. I've still got the stitches to dissolve and all of the things. I am just in joy because I'm getting my life back again. You know, when you've been ill or hungover, or if you've ever recovered from surgery yourself, you go through that point where you can only see how poorly you were and how shitty things were retrospectively. So when I was like a couple of days post-surgery, I was a bit like, I obviously was feeling really unwell, but I couldn't really tell how unwell I was. And now I'm like feeling much, much, much better. And I can shower. I've washed my hair again. You know, I'm getting those little tiny pieces of life back that we take for granted. Showering, you know, eating full meals, time with my daughter. I obviously can't fully look after her yet, but like, you know, hugs. And again, I've been able to go out in the garden. I've actually got a bit of a tan. Like, 10 out of 10 recommend having surgery in the British summertime, because even when all I could do was shuffle outside and sit on a bench outside, that was just amazing. Like, just to get sun on my face, to be out in nature is one of my things, and that heals me. So highly, highly recommend that. Yeah. So I'm at that point of recovery where, yes, I've got a long way to go. So this surgery, it'll be 8 to 12 weeks before I can lift things, which is hard work. I am going to have to figure out how I can get from A to B, because I live in the middle of nowhere. I live in the countryside with quite a property to maintain. For example, I've got 2 gardens, so if I can't lift anything, I can't tend to the garden. It definitely can't be left for 12 weeks. Yeah, so I'm still gonna have to figure that out. That's a TBC plan between you and I. Considering booking us into an all-inclusive resort, because then all my meals will be made and I wouldn't have to do any cleaning or looking after myself. So that feels like a win. But again, that's all building the parachute on the way down type of stuff. And yeah, I mean, I suppose it's made me realise, or made me think on my version of the freedom lifestyle. Obviously, being bedbound and not able to move around very much is not freedom. I manage my neurodiversity quite heavily with exercise, even if that's walking, my Peloton bike, swimming, running, all of that stuff. I know that I'm not allowed to do any of it right now, which sucks, but I have got this new relationship with health right now, and I hope I keep it. I really do, because I'm just like a little bit obsessed at the moment about what I'm putting in my body. Like, my nutrition has never been better, because I just feel really like I'm so grateful for my health. I'm so grateful to still be here. I'm so grateful to be healing the way that I am, that I just want to do right by my body right now. So I'm like eating the healthiest that I've ever eaten, and I hope that I keep that up. Please keep me accountable, because I would love to be sat here in 1 or 2 months time being like, I've kept that up, guys. Like, I've got lots of healthy habits already, but I'm not always great at the nutrition side, so that's something that hopefully sticks. But yeah, just gratitude for health. Like, before this, I put a post out on LinkedIn, and I at the bottom of it said health is wealth, and it really is. Like, you have nothing if you have not, or you're not coming from a place of health. I don't care how much money you've got, I don't care what material possessions that you own or things that you're able to do. If you're not healthy, then that's got to be the number one priority. And that revolves around, even like business coaching will still look at health, right? Because it's just super important, because if we're not firing on all cylinders, we're not going to perform in any area of our life as well as we could do. So yeah, I'm super grateful for that, and hopefully making some positive changes. Like I'm saying, I'm trying to draw anything out of this that is positive going forward. So yeah, like some of the freedom lifestyle stuff that I think about, and I hope in 10 years time that I've started some really significant movement, and somebody finds this podcast where 200 people viewed it 10 years ago and thinks, wow, that was the start of something really major. But I'm kind of obsessed with the human race from is it an anthropological perspective? Is that the right word? I'm not sure that it is, but from our history. And I have this deep feeling that we are not living in alignment of the way that we were meant to. AKA, we grew up living in tribes. We evolved as a species by living in community. So when somebody had a baby, it was not just the responsibility of the person who'd given birth to said child to raise them. We had a village. You know that village they talk about parenting? That village was an actual village of people, of community, that all took collective responsibility for raising that child, and everybody had a job within that community. And I think that was just such a beautiful way of living. I'm not taking away from the great stuff that we have now, the healthcare, the technology. You know, I'm not an anti progress. I'm not even anti-AI in a lot of ways. But there is something about that raw historic version of how we were meant to live that we've come so far away from, that I find it really upsetting, and I just have this desire to do something about it. So watch this space. Quite what that is, I'm not sure. I know that I bring community together through like social platforms and things like that, but it just doesn't feel like it's enough. It feels like I need to kick that up into such a more significant level. And you know, I am never happier than when I'm barefoot in nature. So on the sand, on a beach, swimming in the sea, for example, or just in the garden, just like in this country. It doesn't have to be a travel related thing, but I think that simpler life is something that I hanker for, and I'd be really interested to know if that's what other people have a vision of. You know, you're welcome to talk to me directly or leave comments below, because yeah, I think I don't know many people who feel like they've got that village, who feel like they've got enough support around them when they're parenting their children, or just for them. Like, you don't have to have kids to be involved in this conversation, just enough support. With people talk about this loneliness pandemic all the time, you know, I've talked about in this video the ways that I'm feeling that at the moment. So yeah, it's a conversation to be had, and thank you for listening. Thank you for everybody that has wished me well so far on my recovery journey. I've still got approximately 7 to 11 weeks to go. But as you can see, I am dressed. I am on the way. And I'm very, very grateful for that. I am very, very grateful for the lessons that I've learned in this, for the people that have been involved in my care, and for you guys for listening to me talk about it. So thank you. We will probably resume, well, I'd say normal scheduling from the next episode. I can't drive at the moment, so maybe not exactly that format, but sooner or later I will be able to. And like I said, I hope that this leads to a period of convalescing somewhere abroad. If you want the Freedom Lifestyle mini course, comment on Instagram, the word freedom, and you'll be sent the links to it straight away to buy it. It's got some really great tips in it for travel, hacks, strategies. So that's awesome. And I will be posting a picture on LinkedIn, which is why I said LinkedIn before. I'll be posting a picture of LinkedIn about how I ended up in this mess, how I ended up with this particular requirement for surgery in the form of a very, very heavily pregnant version of me. So when I go back on LinkedIn, that's probably where I'll post it, and I'll probably share a little bit more about the story there. So guys, as ever, if you want to join my mailing list on laurenriley.co.uk, that's the first place you'll get any updates. And have a wonderful week. If you are going through any health struggles yourself, I really hope my sharing this so honestly helps you guys. And if you are not, and you are in good health, please take a moment to be grateful for it, because like I said, it is all that really matters. Health is wealth.